You're listening to CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living. To learn more about who we are, what we do, and how we do it, call toll-free 1-866-928-3310, and we'll send you out a no-obligation information kit absolutely free. 866-928-3310. The CFRN Emini Futures Cast is now on Stitcher. Listen to us on your iPhone, Android phones, BlackBerry, and WebOS phones. Stitcher is smart radio for your phone. Find it in your app store or at Stitcher.com. Stitcher Smart Radio, the smarter way to listen to radio.
Are you ready, Steve? Andy? Yeah! Bert? Well, all right, fellas. Let's go!
You're listening to CFRN, the Christian Financial Radio Network.
Today's broadcast is brought to you by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at www.audibletrial.com/CFRN. Over 85,000 titles. Choose from mystery, romance, religion, science, technology, business, New York Times bestsellers, even children's books. You name it, Audible has it. With 85,000 titles to choose from, you're sure to find the perfect audiobook for yourself or to give as a gift, and it's absolutely free. Just point your browser to audibletrial.com/CFRN. That's audibletrial.com/CFRN. And become a part of the audiobook revolution by downloading your free audiobook today. audibletrial.com/CFRN.
Hey, trader, want to get rich quick? Well, good luck with that. If, on the other hand, you actually want to learn how to trade, the place to be is www.cfrn.net. Tune in Monday through Friday, 9 a.m. Eastern for our daily devotional, and then spend the next 3 hours learning how it's done from professional traders who actually trade for a living. That's www.cfrn.net. Every trading day from 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. Eastern. CFRN, a community of believers who trade for a living.
Good afternoon, traders, and welcome back to the CFRN Emini Futures Cast. This is the daily broadcast of Indeterminate Length, where we discuss all things Emini, along with some really big ideas on the finer points of trading gold, bonds, crude, sugar, the euro, and even T-bills. Joining us today from our studios in Boston, Mr. Michael Bork. From our trading desk in Chicago, Mr. Burton Schlichter. Now, to get things started, let's go to our host and founder in Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. Here's Dwayne.
Good afternoon. Welcome back. Today is Wednesday, 27th day of September, 2017. Hope you're having a great Wednesday. This is, as they refer to, hump day. You're over the hump at noon and on the downward slide into the weekend. So that's got to put a little pep in your step. Now, today's Wednesday. Wayne Jett joins us each Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern. John will be joining us here shortly. Michael will be in to give us a recap of everything that happened in the live training room today. We will take a look at the numbers first. Now, I have a chart up of the S&P 500 Emini Futures. You might say, well, no, that's yesterday's chart. Well, yeah, I got to admit, it looks like Tuesday when the show opened, and it looks like Monday when the show opened. I guess what I'm trying to say is we're still stuck like glue to this 2495, 2496 area on the S&P 500 Emini Futures. We did make a bold run up overnight, and we did tag the zone overhead from last week, 2502/03, and then at 9:30, when Wall Street woke up and came to work, we promptly sold off back down to the 95.96 area, and as we open the show today, we sit just above 24.96. Now, if you can't see the chart, just go to the home page at cfrn.net. On the right hand side, click the big microphone, follow the instructions. You'll be registered through the end of the month, which is only a couple days. 1st of October, you register again on the 1st of the month, and then you're good for the entire month. You only have to register once per month. The other option available is to go to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/CFRN/live. You can bookmark that page, and you also have one-click access there as well. So let's look at those numbers. Here in the U.S., everything is green in the cash markets. Not by a lot, but green. The Dow is up 6.5 points. NASDAQ is up 36 points. S&P 500 is up 3 points. And the Russell 2000 is up 8 points. Believe it or not, we have a couple of movers and shakers. The NASDAQ up 36 points. That's a little over half of 1%. And the Russell 2000 up 8 points. That's a little over half of 1%. In the commodity basket, crude oil up 21 cents, trading 52.09 last. Gold taking it on the chin again today, down 12.79. That's almost 1%, trading 12.88.90 last. In the Asian markets, the Nikkei closed the session down 63 points. Shanghai closed the session up 2 points. And the Hang Seng closed up 129 points. In the European markets, green was the color of the day as well. No really big numbers, but again, green. The FTSE closed up 27 points. DAX closed up 52 points. And the CAC closed up 13 points. No movers, no shakers, just quietly green. US is green, Europe is green, and Asia mixed only because the Nikkei closed out the day in the red, and gold. We thought 13 could hold as good support, and it's been spiked a couple times now, and we're trading again 12.89.10 last. And I guess the big news of the day, well, I haven't been watching the news all day, Trump's massive tax plan. On February 9th, President Donald Trump told a gathering of manufacturing CEOs at the White House he would release something in 2 or 3 weeks that would be phenomenal in terms of taxes. Almost 10 months later, the tax plan is finally here, most of it at least. Trump and the Big Six group of Republican tax negotiators today rolled out the most detailed look yet at the plan. It is the opening salvo of what is likely to be a long process to attempt to overhaul the tax code. Too many in our country are shut out of the dynamics of the U.S. economy, which has led to the justifiable feeling that the system is rigged against hardworking Americans. The 9-page plan reads. 9 pages. That's just a plan to change a bloated tax code. I thought we were going to do this on a postcard or a business card. That would be even better. Apparently not. With significant and meaningful tax reform and relief, we will create a fairer system that levels the playing field and extends economic opportunities to American workers, small businesses, and middle-income families. While Republican leaders and the White House want to complete the overhaul by the end of the year, Wall Street and political analysts think it's likelier that a bill could pass by early 2018. The Big Six has been meeting over the past few months to hash out the details of the tax plan. The group consists of Gary Cohn, the National Economic Council Director, Steve Mnuchin, the Treasury Secretary, Mitch McConnell, Senate Majority Leader, and Orrin Hatch, the Senate Finance Committee Chairman. Paul Ryan, the House Speaker, and Representative Kevin Brady, the House Ways and Means Committee Chairman. After years of work, we are moving forward with a unified framework that paves the way for bold, transformational tax reform that will bring more jobs, fairer taxes, and bigger paychecks. We have a lot of work ahead, but this moment marks a major step forward in the process. Key elements are still missing from the plan to avoid early pressure from industry groups and lobbyists, but the initial look at it shows a 20% corporate tax rate. This is the first time Trump has publicly backed down from one of his earliest campaign promises, which was a 15% corporate tax rate. The budget math required for a 15% rate was too difficult, so the somewhat higher tax rate will be the opening bid that would still bring the current 35% statutory federal rate down quite significantly. A 25% rate for pass-through businesses. This would apply to people who own businesses. Instead of getting taxed at an individual rate for business profits, owners of firms would pay at the pass-through rate. The plan also says it will consider rules to prevent personal income from being taxed at this rate. Mnuchin previously suggested there may be limitations on what types of businesses get this rate. It could apply only to goods producers and not service-oriented companies to prevent people from creating limited liability corporations to store their assets and receive a lower rate. There will be an elimination of some business deductions, industry-specific incentives, and more. A one-time repatriation tax. All overseas assets from U.S.-owned companies would be considered repatriated and taxed at a one-time lower rate. This is designed to bring corporate profits back from overseas. I think that was written especially for Apple and Google. Personal tax changes, a bottom individual tax rate of 12%. The plan specifies 3 tax brackets for now, with the lowest being 12%. That would represent a slight bump in the bottom bracket, which is now 10%. People currently in the 15% marginal tax bracket would most likely be included here. A middle tax bracket of 25%. The incomes have not been specified. The top individual rate, 35%. The current top rate is 39.6%. The possibility of a fourth higher bracket due to Trump's insistence that taxes for the wealthiest Americans not decrease. The plan proposes the possibility of a fourth tax bracket at a rate higher than 35% if the committee wishes. There would be a larger standard deduction. To avoid raising taxes on those currently in the 10% bracket, the standard deduction for all taxes would be doubled to $12,000 for individuals and $24,000 for married couples. Now that's up from $12,700, so that's not bad. There are slightly less than the doubled deduction. These are slightly less than the double deduction expected. The idea that this will save people money, one comment says, could be misleading. The plan eliminates most itemized deductions. The only deduction preserved in the plan explicitly is charitable gifts and home mortgage interest. It would increase the size of the child tax credit. There's some vague promises on retirement savings and other deductions. Elimination of the state and local tax deduction. Wow. Elimination of the estate tax, called the death tax. And that's about it. We waited this long for that. You know, why can't we just have a national sales tax and leave it go at that? You don't even have to file. You just pay as you go. I guess that's just too simple and would put too many people out of work. Oh well. So there you have it. That's the big headline. Now, supposedly, there's a lot of articles being spun today about the presentation of this tax plan and how good it will be for America. We might take a look at one or two of those later in the show. Wayne may weigh in on those. He's probably got some thoughts. He'll be joining us again at 1 p.m. Eastern. And right now, let's go to Michael to get a recap of everything that happened in the live training room. If you're ready, Michael.
I am here, and I am ready. Let's switch it over to me. Switch it over to me.
Did you look at that very rough draft I sent you?
I did.
Okay.
And I read the whole thing on my phone.
Oh, really?
Yeah, well, you texted it to me. So I want to read it again.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then we'll talk about it. But yeah, I did.
Sounds good.
Did you email it too?
No, but I will, so that it's. I tried to send it because when it detects a web address, it tries to be clever and make it into a link. And
well, it came through as something I had to click on, and then it opened it up in my Safari, I think.
Yeah.
And so I read the whole thing there, and there's a lot of information in there.
Yeah.
And so yeah, we need to talk about that. It's a lot of good stuff. And
yeah, I'm just going to send you the link via email. That way you can read it on your computer.
Okay, that would be good. That would be good.
Okay, you got the charts. We can see them. We can hear you, so I'll hit mute.
Okay, all right, and I'll get right into it here. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Today is Wednesday, the 27th day of September, 2017. Yeah. Okay. Today, if you want to take a free trial with us, just go to the homepage at cfrn.net. And right up here at the top, it says sign up for the CFRN live training room, 100% free trial. User indicators on our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you will be sent to this page where we ask for just your email, your first name, and how you found us. And you hit the submit button. Once you hit that submit button, you'll be sent a confirmation link. Okay? You must click on the confirmation link. If you do not click on the confirmation link, well, we don't know you took the free trial. Okay? You got to hit that confirmation link. And if you don't get the email, you can email us at support@cfrn.net. and let us know that you didn't get the confirmation link, okay? Because you should definitely be getting that confirmation link. Yeah, I was just talking to a fella during the break who, for some reason, did not get the email that says how to sign up for CFRN. And yeah, so I had to send it to him again. And all right, enough of that. Now, we'll get into the pull this back over. Recaps. Get into the recap. We had a red day today, guys. We made 4 ticks in the euro. We lost 11 in crude, and we made 1 in gold. So we're minus 75 bucks on the day. Okay. It took, what is that? It says 8. No. Yeah, it was. Here it is. No, it was not 8. What was I looking at? It was 5. Oops, it took us 5 trades to get to that. What the heck was I looking at? Anyway, it took us 5 trades to get there. So on the month, we are at 1445. That's over 18 days, just averaging 80 a day. Today is, this has been a really rough month. The volatility this month has just been flat. So anyway, even with the low volatility, this is $1,445 per contract. That's one contract, okay, for 2 hours a day. On the year now, we are at 26,307. That's over 182 days, averaging 144 a day. Okay, so you got to look at that annual thing. All right, minimize that, and we'll go through what happened. How did I miss that? Hang on. Anyway, doesn't make any sense. Okay, so what happened today? Let's take a look and see. It was a shorting opportunity. Well, gold started out just a mess right here. Okay, just a mess. And then it dropped a little bit right in here. You see the cycle was blue. And we had to bounce off the BBC, but we had to wait for a close below the trend line that I did not draw. Below that trend line to get a shorting opportunity. Now right here where it closed down below the MA1, you would have moved your stop to break even. I missed it, I didn't get filled, and then it went to the point where I would have moved the stop to break even, so I had to take the order off. We had another bounce right here. This right here is where some of the guys in the room today got their goal for the day. On this bounce right here. I missed that, and I got the follow-up right over here. I got 1 tick on that. All right, there was a momentum long trade here that went a few ticks, and then it was just a mess the rest of the day. It was just a mess. Okay, and that was it. And that was it. All right, we'll go to the euro. On the euro, I missed a bunch of stuff. You know, there were a bunch of questions in the room this morning, and so I was focusing on that and the training, and I missed along here, along there, and a short right there. Okay, though this short I probably wouldn't have done anyway, even if I was watching. That's probably why I didn't highlight it, because I would have been looking for a lower swing. I did get a shorting opportunity here, and I got 4 ticks profit out of that. And during the break, let's see here, during the break, there was a long right there, a long right there, and a long right there during the break. Okay, we ended up with +4 on the euro. And on crude, I messed up this one right here, and I got -3 on that because I should have had my stop at break even when it got to +4. But it started to pull back, and I just exited because I realized I had made a mistake, and I got -3 on that. And you see crude was just nasty and sideways. And then the crude inventories came out, and I tried to get in over here. Well, I did get in over here, and I got a break even on that one. And you can see it went up nicely. And then we did another one over here. It stopped us out pretty much to the tick, and then it went up again. So basically what I'm saying here is that everything's working. I'm missing things because of various distractions, but everything is working. Okay, and then during the break, it looks like there was a long opportunity right here that would have been a break even, and That's it. Okay, we ended up with minus 11 on crude. That's what put us negative today. That one stop out and my mistake. Let's see, on the Russell. See, in the pre-market, the Russell had some good volatility. But then we had very little that we could do with the Russell because the ES was in the zone almost all morning. You know, I was drawing trend lines and pointing things out that if the ES was not in the zone, that we could do. But we couldn't do anything because the ES was in the zone. And you see right here, see that big leg up right there? And where was the ES? In a zone. Okay. So you see right here, the ES started out this morning at 6:30, ran up to this zone at 9:30, dropped back down to this zone at 10:30, and then just painted itself right within the zone here. It was a rough day today. But it is what it is. You know, every day we come and we do the same thing. We do the same thing over and over and over and over and over again. Okay, we've been doing it for years, and we'll be doing it for years to come, God willing. All right, so let me bring up the spreadsheet again. If you're going to read the spreadsheet, you can read all the CFTC risk disclosures down at the bottom. But we made 4 ticks in the euro. We lost 11 ticks in crude. We made 1 tick in gold, so we're minus 75 on the day. And it took us 5 opportunities to do that. Okay. So on the month now, we're still plus 1445. That's over 18 days. And on the year, we're plus 26,307. That's over 182 days. Okay, that is 1 contract, 2 hours a day. All right. Not every day is going to be a green day, but most of them are. And if you have not taken a free trial with us, go to the home page here at cfrn.net. Just go to the home page, scroll down to the big, to take the free trial. I was going to tell you how to get into here. To take the free trial, go to the home page at cfrn.net, and right up here at the top it says sign up for the CFRN Live Training Room. 100% free trial. Use our indicators, learn our strategy. Click here. When you click there, you will be brought here. No credit card required. 100% free. Tired. Anyway, all you got to do is put in your email, put in your first name, and how did you find us? Hit the submit button. Once you hit the submit button, you will be sent a confirmation link. Okay, you must click on that confirmation link. Okay, and that's it. All right, and with that, we can pass it back out to fabulous Phoenix, Arizona, Studio A, overlooking South Mountain, America's largest city park. How'd I do?
Alrighty. And the recap of the recap?
Today we had a red day. We did not get our goal for the day. We were minus 75 bucks, and it took us 5 trades to get there. That was our day today, sadly. I missed, if you were to go back and look at all the trades that I missed, there were a lot of questions this morning, so I was answering the questions. But if you go back and look at all the trades that I missed, it was easily a green day if I'd have gotten filled on them.
That happens.
It does. It does. So it's good. It's good and bad. I'm telling you the truth.
That's the truth about trading.
It is indeed. And, the last 2 days we got our goal on the first trade, and then today we had 5, and we did not get it.
It was the last 3 days, wasn't it?
No, the one before was 3 trades. So,
alrighty.
It is what it is.
Okay. take a look at these other really important headlines for today. See if any of them cry out to be. Well, yeah, this is pretty big. Twitter's expanding the character limit of tweets from 140 to 280. Company's currently testing the feature with a few users, but plans to roll it out more broadly later in the year. Wonder why it took them so long to do that. And will that change the nature of what Twitter is? I mean, it's giving you twice as much room. They already took a step in that direction a while back. If you include a video or a picture, those don't count against the 140 character limit. So 280. Wow, you can write a novella there. 280 characters. It was always to... It really made you think when you had to be very concise with your thoughts and use a couple little clever tricks, like, you know, the number 4 for the word, F-O-R, that kind of thing. But for me, it made me realize that sometimes when I write, it can be very wordy, and I can take out an awful lot of those words, and it doesn't change the message, the content, the effect, the impact, anything. So from 140 to 280, probably what I would have done, if I'm not mistaken, there's a Twitter add-on that you can run, and once you hit your 140 character limit, you get a pop-up box. You can finish writing the message as long as you want, and when you post it, 140 characters go on Twitter, and when a person gets to the end of your tweet, if they hit the link, it will then take them to the page where you wrote the remainder of the message. But hey, they know what they're doing. They got Jack Dorsey at the helm. He's CEO again, so go get him, Jack. Google is apparently going to split off its online shopping service. The move comes as a response to comply with requests made by EU officials that deemed the company's handling of search results was anti-competitive. Google has pulled its YouTube app from the Amazon Echo Shows catalog. The Mountain View company claims that Amazon's implementation of its app violates Google's terms of service, while Amazon says that there was no technical reason to remove the app. Instagram has introduced a number of new safety features. The service will now let everyone limit who can comment on their photos, while the automatic offensive comment filter is getting support for Arabic, French, German, and Portuguese. I've done the Twitter, the Google+, the Facebook, never did the Instagram. I think many years ago I uploaded one picture, and I think that's where it ended. Apple has acknowledged there's a problem with the iPhone 8's earpiece. The phone makes a crackling noise during phone calls, and the company says that it's going to fix the issue for the limited number of devices affected in an upcoming update. Huh. So they're going to fix it from the cloud. You won't have to take it into the shop. That's pretty neat. Siren Labs has announced it intends to launch a new phone and a PC that run on the blockchain. The company is hoping to raise around $100 million to fund their development. I know that's a head scratcher. People go, wait a minute, blockchain, okay? I'm just getting my head wrapped around that term. I thought that had to do with cryptocurrencies or altcoins or tokens as they're referred to. So how are you going to run a phone and a PC on a blockchain? I guess you need to Google it. Yeah, that's probably the best idea. Ford and ride-hailing service Lyft have announced a new partnership. The goal is to design and test autonomous vehicles and tech together, and ultimately to put Ford's self-driving cars on Lyft's network. Gee, I guess if you're a Lyft driver right now, you're not feeling so secure in your job security. Tesla will reportedly use Intel chips to power its car's infotainment system. The American car maker will no longer rely on NVIDIA and is seemingly already using Intel chips on more recent Model S and Model X vehicles, in addition to the new Model 3. Firefox has launched the latest beta of its browser called Firefox Quantum. It features a new design and a faster next-generation engine for increased speed performance that the company claims makes Firefox faster than Google Chrome. I used to use Firefox exclusively, and one version came out that sent me to Chrome, and I've never gone back. I was really happy with Firefox. It was the go-to browser for me.
You know, there's a bug in Firefox that
what is it?
Just so there's probably a bunch, but because it's open source, but there's a thing in Firefox where people can go in and retrieve all the passwords and IDs that you've used. So it's not something you want to have on your desktop. If somebody has access to your desktop, they can go in and retrieve all the IDs and passwords that you've used. Just pointing that out.
Yeah, no, that's good to know, because as I read through this article, they don't mention it. They talk about how it'll be faster and in all the ways that it will be more better, but let's take a look here.
It's still open source, and they may have fixed that bug, but I know that bug is actually there because it was used by someone when Jada was using Firefox.
Mozilla Security Bug Bounty Program. Let me look under news. Is this something?
No, this is old.
This is old. Okay.
Yeah, this is old.
Okay, well then maybe in the new version they have plugged that hole, perhaps?
Yeah, and they may have. I don't know. I don't. I use Chrome.
Forbes magazine says Mozilla is making a new Firefox that's twice as fast. That's pretty fast, I guess. Twice as fast.
That would be pretty fast.
Amazon has added voice controls to its music app via the Alexa digital assistant. Features currently available on both Android and iOS apps in the US, UK, Canada, and Australia, with more countries to come. Now, we're going to see if John has popped in yet, and I guess he has not. Okay, let's see. On the S&P 500 last night on the Concierge Trade Alerts, because of this sticky area that we've been in, I had to reevaluate things, and we didn't trigger long or short. Neither one. We'll go over the rest of those here in just a moment. This is the one that I wanted to look under the hood for just a second. Trump's tax plan could bring $250 billion into the U.S. Okay. The new tax plan could cause a tidal wave of internationally held cash to flood back into the U.S. There we go. The repatriation tax holiday outlined in today's release is designed to incentivize U.S.-based companies that do big business overseas to bring those profits home. By Goldman Sachs calculation, S&P 500 companies currently hold $920 billion of untaxed overseas cash, and the firm estimates that $250 billion of that will be repatriated. Looking at all U.S.-based companies, Citigroup says there's a whopping $2.5 trillion of cash stashed internationally. Once that money is brought back to the U.S., companies have a few options for how to use it. The first is reinvestment back into core businesses. This is likely the avenue policymakers would prefer, as it holds the most direct bearing on economic expansion. Another option would be for companies to repurchase their own shares. This would be beneficial to stock prices and, by extension, the market as a whole. Buybacks are a good way to achieve immediate share appreciation and signal to investors that a stock is viewed as undervalued. So with that established, which companies stand to benefit the most? Goldman says it's those companies holding the most post-tax cash overseas relative to their market cap. A group heavily concentrated in the tech and healthcare sectors. The firm has put together a handy list of the 14 top beneficiaries. Number 14 is General Electric. After that, Foot Locker, followed by Citrix. The folks we know as GoToWebinar. Western Digital, that's your external hard drive. Waters Corp, their healthcare, I'm not real familiar with them. TE Connectivity, Ralph Lauren, I know them well. Microsoft, coming in at number 6, Oracle. Number 5, Amgen. Apple, number 4. Qualcomm, number 3. And number 2, NetApp, NTAP. And number 1, Cisco Systems. I guess we'll have to just wait and see. Will they do it or not? Today, our good word for the day comes from Genesis 37:19, and it's about pursuing your dream, whatever that dream might be. In Genesis 37:19, the words aren't kind. It's Joseph's brothers, and they're saying, "Look, here comes the dreamer. Let us kill him." Well, we all know the story, and they didn't kill him. They sold him into slavery. But when Joseph dreamed big dreams, how did his brothers respond? Well, they plotted to kill him. Now, I've often wondered if Joseph thought about what he was saying before he said it. And instead of just blurting it out in front of his brothers, think about it. Sometimes those closest to you will resent your dream the most. Yet with God's help, you can still fulfill it. Andres Segovia was born in southern Spain and began playing the guitar as a child. In those days, it was considered little more than a folk instrument. Serious composers and musicians had no respect for the lowly guitar. But Segovia saw the potential for classical music on the guitar. He began studying the techniques of classical musicians who played the violin and the cello. He He then applied those techniques to his guitar playing and developed other methods on his own. He adapted compositions of the old masters such as Bach and learned to play them on the guitar. In 1909, Segovia made his debut at age 16. In 1919, he toured the world and won over the classical music establishment. For the first time, composers started writing classical music for the guitar, and a whole new musical genre was born. Over the course of 80 years, Segovia changed people's perception of the instrument, and like many big dreams, his dream made an impact far beyond what he imagined. It could be argued that his efforts opened the door to the guitar in concert halls and jazz bands, which in turn led to the electronically amplified guitar. Today, if you enjoy the music of the Beatles or Eric Clapton, thank Andre Segovia. If it wasn't for his dream, much of the music from the 20th century may have gone in an entirely different direction. Bottom line, when you pursue your dream, there's no telling how far you'll go. So think about your dream. Something that perhaps has been in your heart or on your mind for many years, perhaps. A good portion of your life, perhaps. And you have not pursued it. Think about Joseph and in his pursuit. Without fear, he stood before his brothers and told them what he had dreamed. I probably wouldn't have done that, but he did. And this Segovia fellow, he changed the landscape of modern music. Most of us grew up listening to rock and roll or country and western, and imagine if you took the guitar out of that picture. Wow. You'd have something very different. Some guy banging on drums and another guy playing the keyboard, I suppose. I did not know this was the history of the guitar and how it became the popular instrument it is today via the way of classical music, but just goes to show that you should pursue your dream, whatever it is. Talk to God. Make sure it's not only your dream, but His plan for your life. And if the two are the same, then you should allow no man to ever get in your way. Whatever your dream, whatever your big idea, wherever your heart is, talk to God and then pursue the dream. And don't worry about what those guys said in Genesis 37:19 through 20. Chances are nobody's going to kill you. Okay? Alright, looks like John's here. Hey John, welcome to the show.
Hello. Hi, Dwayne. How are you doing?
Good, yourself?
Well, not too bad, thanks. The markets today are kind of probably got a bit overdone in the morning. I guess this tax plan that's coming out is part of the reason. But there are some good things happening. I mean, look, we've got some things going on here today that almost never happened before. The transports are soaring to new highs, new all-time highs, new record highs, 2 days in a row now. And we need to go to a new high on the Dow in order to generate a Dow theory buy signal. Now, I can't say enough about the implications of Dow theory buy signals, because they are just phenomenal. They have phenomenal implications for markets. The best example in our lifetime was in 1987, in the crash, after the crash of '87, which happened in October. We generated a Dow theory buy signal in December, and we really didn't go anywhere in the Dow. The Dow was sideways from October through December. And the fact that we generated a Dow theory buy signal, look, these buy signals usually last usually a minimum of a year, average 1.5 to 2.5 years, and they can go for a lot longer. After the Dow theory buy signal December of '87, the market not only went up for 3 years in a row from the '87 crash, which was around 1650 on the Dow, to 3,000. We basically got up to 3020, I think it was, pretty much the high of 1990. Just before Saddam Hussein went into Kuwait. It was July the 20th, 1990, that made a double, 2 days in a row, the Dow closed at 3020. Never happened before. And then shortly thereafter, there was a Dow theory sell signal, and the market corrected 20% by October of that year. Then, my famous January 16th liftoff, 1991, was the biggest opening gap in history, which was the night of the Gulf War, when all the planes flew in and came back safely, and was the first sign of a win of the war. The Dow was up dramatically the next day. I think back then it was up 70 points, which was probably the equivalent of the Dow being up about maybe 300 points, or even more like 500 points. Imagine the Dow gapping up 500 points in a day. It would be a pretty big deal. So it was a huge thing. 2 days later, there was a Dow theory buy signal, and the market went up for 9 years. Then in 2003, if you remember, I'd mentioned this on the show, we had a bottom in 2002. IBM bottomed on July 24th, 2002, and then we rallied we had a tech rally into November the 10th. We sold off on November the 10th back down into we rallied from July into August, sort of August or September. Then we came down and bottomed on November the 10th. We had a triple bottom after the 2000 high, with the first two double bottoms in July the 24th and November the 10th, and then there was a rally, and we came down and made the third bottom around about February the 14th of 2003, and again on March 15th, 2003. And then that was the beginning of a huge uptrend. And I think there was a Dow theory buy signal in early 2003. And actually, by the end of the year, as I said, I think I said in February or March of 2003, that we'd hit new all-time highs in the transports and the mid-cap, not everything else, but the transports and the mid-cap, before the end of that year. And in the fall, we in fact did hit that. I also predicted that the economy would grow more than 5% by the fourth quarter, and we actually hit 6% in the fourth quarter of 2003. So these Dow theory buy signals are very, very powerful. And the next one, guess when that came? That came even though we called the market low on March the 6th, 2009. We got a buy signal, Dow theory buy signal, in April. I think it was April the 4th, 2009. And around about the same, or a little bit before that, towards the end of March, I said, against all odds, I even got hate mail for it. People thought it was bonkers. I said the transports and the mid-cap once again would hit new all-time highs by 2011, which happened. We actually got a Dow sell signal right about that time. and we came, we got one in 2010, and it came back and bottomed in 2011. I think we got a Dow signal in January 2011. We ran up to a high. Then we had that July the 25th, the market peaked on 2011, and we had a crash down into about October the 4th of 2011, and that was the sort of European edge of a cliff bottom. and that was when the Fed started coming in and beginning the QE for the first major, the QE3.
Mm-hmm, right.
So we got another Dow theory buy signal the last day of 2011, and 2012 we got we had another 2-year bull market up to 2014 and a half. So we got a 2.5-year run. And then we got a sell signal, sort of a mid 14s going on, or maybe it was 15. And then we had that big correction, 15, 16. And then we got another Dow theory buy signal around about February, March 2016. And we've been making new highs pretty much ever since. But what's different about this Dow theory buy signal right now, we got one on July the 4th of this year, 4th or 5th, I think it was, and 5th probably. And then what's interesting about that July 5th buy signal, it was the beginning of if you remember, we were very, very bullish on the Dow at that time, and the markets, we said that we were expecting a very big July, which happened. And then we had the Bastille Day, which is the strongest day in history. I defy anybody to tell me anything different, because in other words, from the July 5th buy signal to the 14th, we had such an incredible surge that by the 14th of July, we were hitting on more all-time highs than we've ever experienced in all of history. There's never been a time when more indices and were hitting new all-time highs, both overseas and in the U.S., including the transports. Then we ran into trouble. If you remember, sort of late July, the mid-caps started failing. That sort of dragged the market down, took the shine off the markets. But we are now on a new Dow theory buy signal developing, not confirmed yet. But look at the markets today. I mean, look at the rebound overnight. The implications of this signal that we're getting right now, profoundly bullish, could last a year and a half, 2 years, possibly even longer. So you have to take these things seriously. I know everybody's calling for the end of the world out there. Doug Cass came out about a week ago and said he can't be long anything, he's short, and he's done that since 2011, or even I think he wrote an article in the Wall Street Journal back in late 09, and said he was short. So there's been people trying to short this market all the way up. The fact of the matter is the market's been closing higher every year since 2009. It's exactly what happened in the 90s, when 6 of the smartest minds in the world were telling us for the whole of the 90s that the market was going to go down, and yet it closed higher every year. You can't be bearish on a market that's closing at new highs every year. You got to go with the flow, and you can't fight the Fed. The old adage on Wall Street is, don't fight the tape, go with the tape. The Fed the wind has been at our back since 2009, pretty much, with the Fed, and they're being extremely gentle in terms of their rate rises. Goldman Sachs came out the other day and said they're expecting 9 rate rises by 1919. That is a dream formula for higher markets. Because think of this. I mean, if as I've said before, we're probably in 2005 today, with probably a clear 2-year run before we run into trouble like we did it wasn't really mid, it was sort of mid to late 2007 before we really got into trouble in the markets. Remember, the markets peaked November 10th of 2007. So, I know a lot of stocks had started falling before then, especially the bank stocks. But nevertheless, the market, the markets didn't peak until November of 2007. The Dow got up to about 14,150 before it started its decline. So the point I'm getting at is we had 17 or 19 rate hikes from 2004 or 2005 really up till 2007. If we're only going to get 9 between now and 19, it's like there isn't, it's nothing like what happened that caused the decline or the crash of 2007, because rates got too high and the housing market imploded, and that created just a total wipeout across the board. We're nowhere near that today. And interest rates haven't even started going up yet, effectively. And not only that, they're being neutralized, negated, or even enhanced, if you like, or reversed, if you like, by the continuing QE that's going on around the world. Now, there's a chart. I might be able to send it to you. It's a really fascinating chart, but it shows the cumulative QE of all the 6 big banks, and maybe call it the G7 QE, and that is going to start to go down towards the end of this year, and that will do two things. It's going to be very bullish for gold, because it's very interesting. We had the first burst of QE sort of peaked in late 2009, I think, and as it went down into 2011, what happened to gold? Gold went, from 1,000 to 1,900. So this is going to be very interesting to see the effect of this dampening of the QE coming in here towards the end of this year. But at the same time, markets from 2009 to 11, markets were soaring as well. So this will be a time just like from 2005 to 2007, where most likely gold and the stock market will go up together, just like they did in 2005. And we went from 425 in the first quarter of 2005 to almost 1,000 by 2007. So, if we double from where we were, we're going to see either probably new all-time highs in gold, if not next year, maybe by 19 or 20. And another thing that's going on is the oil is holding in very strongly at 52. The Brent came back a little bit from 59 to 57, but the oil is holding at 52. Looks like it's going to break above 52 here. There was a big draw in the markets reported, and the gasoline's come back just like we said it probably might yesterday, and the heating oil has also come back. We did sell the gasoline right up near the high and shorted it. We also went long the natural gas, which looks like it's probably bottomed at around the 3,000. Some guy came out yesterday and said he's going long natural gas because winter's coming and it's sort of a no-brainer trade. I wouldn't swear by that, because a couple of years ago when we were crashing into the lows of the oil sector, natural gas went all the way down to 16, in spite of the winter. So there's no guarantees in this game. You got to be on your toes all the time. But the energy stocks are also very, look like they're going to go to new highs again today. The APCs pulled back a little bit. The bank stocks are going crazy today. They're surging back towards their highs or making new highs. The bonds are tanking, and that's a good sign, because it's really acknowledging that the economy is getting stronger. The metals are probably under manipulation downwards at the moment, but I think they're going to find a bottom here in the next day or two, somewhere, may get down to 1275, somewhere like that. Then we could have a rip-roaring rally off that low. I think it's the grains, by the way, it looks like the grains are on a rebuy here. The soybeans have pulled back to about 958 this morning. They're at 966 right now. We are basically long all the grains, and I would stay long for the time being. I would have the stops under today's lows right now. I think the grains are gonna actually go up quite a bit from here. Maybe this is the run to 1,000 on the beans, and that'll help lift the metals probably over the next week or so if the grains go higher. So that's better let Wayne come on here and
he's patiently waiting there. Let me open up his mic. There we go. Wayne, welcome to the show.
Good morning.
Good to have you with us. Very good. Yourself?
Very well. Thanks a lot. And good to hear John's capable evaluation of what's going on in the markets.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess the big news today is this tax plan. What are your thoughts on it?
Well, I think they're, from what I've seen of the reporting, I think it may be a better outlook than some reports indicate, such as the criticisms that supposedly the lower income people are going to actually have a tax increase from 10% to 12%, but that apparently does not take into account that they will have a larger deduction and will actually have zero taxes rather than their previous rate of 10%. So I think it might even improve as time goes on. We'll see. But anything can happen. I don't know what effect the election last night or yesterday in Alabama for the Senate primary and the Republican Party will have on the Senate leadership or the House leadership. It ought to remind them again that Trump was put there not because of his good looks or big talk, but because he supposedly was expressing policies that ordinary people support. And despite Trump sort of half-heartedly supporting the establishment candidate in that primary yesterday, the so-called Trump candidate, that is the one who supports the kind of policies that Trump ran on, won it easily going away despite being outspent 10 to 1. 10 to 1 is a big $30 million compared to $3 million in a primary runoff. It's absolutely remarkable. But obviously the establishment did not want. Actually, they call him Judge Roy Moore, but he was actually Chief Justice of the state Supreme Court in Alabama. So maybe all this is old news for your audience, but in any event, I thought I would make the comments. Maybe it will rejuvenate some of the president's influence with the powers in Washington, because in recent weeks, it's been looking as if he is less and less the candidate they was, and more a captive of the swamp, or maybe a prisoner of the swamp. I don't know what's the better terminology.
He might have been supporting Strange, in some sort of quid pro quo deal with McConnell or something like that. You never know. But look, it's all worked out all right, and it's a phenomenal success. He's kind of character, this guy, to come riding in on a horse with his wife. certainly knows how to ride a horse. So it was quite impressive all around, and I think actually it sends a hell of a message to the establishment. They better get on board the Trump train.
Well, it'll be interesting in that regard. I frankly don't think they can. I think they are much the creatures of the establishment, caught in the web of pedophilia and human trafficking and all sorts of terrible abuses that really make them captives of that power structure. And it's going to be something to behold if they should be taken down. I don't think it's going to come easily or without a lot of trial and tribulation. I think the foreign affairs that we've talked about previously, still in Syria and in other locations in the Middle East and elsewhere, are still very up for grabs in terms of who's in charge. Whether Trump actually has a say in what's going on, or does he not? Because broader wars there are not consistent with his campaign platform. And in some respects, there are reports that things are going better in terms of a reduction of hostilities, but in other respects, they're moving into other countries. So we'll see how that goes. But in terms of the tax situation, that's by no means the only aspect of our fiscal situation that is in very dire straits. The debt of the country, I think, is very problematic. We've got numerous states. We're not just talking Puerto Rico. We're not just talking Illinois, but we're talking other major states that are at the point of bankruptcy. Ohio, Pennsylvania, and others are being mentioned by name with regard to the amounts of debt and their ability to meet their obligations. And the idea that despite all of the extreme QE, as it's called, the creation of money out of the value of the labor already expended for past dollars. In other words, people call it out of air, but it's really just stealing value from dollars already made and earned. All of that is being done just to support the federal, and the all sorts of subsidies to the states as well. But even that has not been enough. So exactly how long is this creature going to keep wobbling along when we are eating the capital and the financial position of the people themselves as we go along, creating more money and funding the federal government to whatever they want to do without really any accounting for it. We speak of no audit of the Fed. We have no audit of any so-called gold reserves that the Treasury Secretary has just announced a week or so ago that he's glad they're safe. There's no indication whatsoever that that should be believed at all, or that we have any reserves. And in that circumstance, how much longer can the military wing of the U.S. government continue to keep other nations in line when we are, in fact, pressing them not to use the dollar anymore? That we're going to penalize China, for example, if they continue to provide any trade with North Korea. We're going to punish China in the way that they will not be permitted to continue participating in the SWIFT mechanism for transmission of international payments, when they have already been reported as having their own BRICS system of international payments that they're ready to implement. And I think they're actually underway in implementing that new BRICS transmission system. I think they call it CHIPS or something close to that. I frankly just do not see the justification for the high stock prices and anything other than hopeful insulation against the effects of this QE inflation that we are bound to see. But those equities have to be able to actually profit and have sustained value in an economy that is really on, I think, tenterhooks. So I think it's a hazardous market that has marched higher despite all odds. And as I've said before, I think much of the buying has been from the Exchange Stabilization Fund, which is black or dark money obtained somehow from the Fed or other government processes that are buying whatever stocks they need to buy in order to keep the averages going up. Anybody there?
Yeah, no, right here. Just taking in what you were discussing. I think we talked about these comments that Jamie Dimon, JP Morgan, made a couple weeks ago about Bitcoin being a fraud, and then yesterday it was revealed that as he was speaking and the markets were taking a dip on his words, traders at his bank, where he had said that anyone in his employ that bought Bitcoin, he would fire them for being stupid. They were actually buying the dip as he spoke.
Yes, I had seen that, I think, even last week, that was being the case. And it's a ridiculous situation that we should believe anything whatsoever that comes from those sources. And
well, this is a guy who has been accused, him and his bank, JP Morgan, for being high on the list of those manipulating the price of silver and gold for quite some time. And when he was speaking originally, when he came out with that comment, there was a tone in his voice that he was taking it personal, that it wasn't business as normal. It reminded me of Ackerman when he came out and said that he was going to take Herbalife to zero. And he cost his investors an awful lot of money in the process. But Ackerman was not acting with the cool, clear mind of someone running a hedge fund of that size. It's as though there was some kind of personal vendetta. And I don't know, what the personal issue could be with Dimon and Bitcoin, other than his inability to manipulate it. But in fact, he did manipulate it with his words, and his minions took advantage of the dip by buying it. So I guess he's proving that he can do anything and just pay the fine. That's just a cost of doing business for him. I do what I want, and then I pay the fine.
Sharing the wealth with the government agencies that have other ways they like to spend some money, and so they get it through these fines. Of course, Obama apparently was redirecting those fines into mostly assistance to various private organizations. I mean, it's absolutely remarkable that the federal government just seems to have no legal requirements on them when they want to use funds of that nature. And with the Justice Department that is completely controlled, as we had under the previous administration, there simply has been nothing done about it. Billions and billions of dollars taken that way, and then handed out to various so-called political allies, but really just cold crooks, I suppose you'd call it, for less of a lack of a more artful term. But nevertheless, that seems to be where we still are. We, in large part, I've said before, I think we still have the Obama Justice Department, even though we've got a new Attorney General. We certainly have not seen anything in the way of beneficial activity there that I can identify, and some that really is at cross purposes of what the Trump administration was supposed to be about. In other words, making the swamp deeper rather than the other way around. So, in any event, I don't know whether there are any other aspects that you'd like to discuss today, any other topics. I did see this morning a report, a video showing a cloud maker, not in the way of flying planes, but actually a machine on the ground, transportable by truck, and creating tremendous volumes of clouds from the ground up in the hills, and making it appear that clouds are coming from the other side of the horizon, but making a tremendous amount of noise. I don't know whether you've seen that or not.
No. What's a cloud maker?
Well,
I'm not familiar with it.
It is a machine that you turn it on, it makes a tremendous amount of noise, and it blows out volumes of cloud-like material that you just can't imagine the size of them. They just, and each second it's on, it makes more and more volumes.
And so now, what's the purpose of making the clouds?
Well, they haven't announced it, Dwayne. They don't admit that's what they're doing. Some people who inquired with them, they just say they don't say anything, or else they say, well, it's for mosquito control or something of that nature. Clearly, in my mind, that is absolutely not the circumstance. But, I could point you to a place that shows that. Hold on a minute. Maybe I can. I just want to try to find it in my history. But let's see. Here we are.
You guys want candidates.com. Got a really cool. If you're not seeing these kinds of clouds in your area,
you can look for, if you want to search for it, there's a chemtrail trucks busted spraying us. Cloud seeding geoengineering trucks. And it's got some video in there showing the machine and showing it turning on and people standing around and that sort of thing out in the countryside. But no explanations other than just visual observations, except for the person making the video or commenting on the video. Well, let's see.
I'm looking here. Is there a recent article out on it or something?
I'll send you an email with the link. Just a minute.
Okay. Is this something you're familiar with, John?
No, I haven't seen that.
Well, the markets yesterday we thought they were quiet because of Yellen, and today they're quiet because of this tax business. What do you think?
Well, I would mention to you, for example, you're talking about Bitcoin and blockchain and that sort of thing. There's a company that we've spoken about, I think, in one connection or another previously, sort of on that topic, Overstock. Overstock
Patrick Byrne is the CEO there. I'm familiar with. He's been on the show.
Today has been up over 20%. It's up presently about 18%, and that's on top of probably a 30 or 40% gain in recent weeks and months. And it, I think, is probably in large part because of its development of blockchain technology for various purposes. The announcement still to be made. I haven't seen any announcement made by Overstock today, but I haven't looked for one, frankly. Even I saw this up over 20% at the time I was checking in with you, just about the time I signed on. And so that's another blockchain kind of play that I've been looking for it to cause a real impression for quite some time. I used to be an investor in that stock, but unfortunately couldn't stick with it long enough to realize the gains today. But nevertheless, I mentioned that as something that's a part of the market that's not just because of Trump or tax cuts or things of that sort, but because of technological innovations.
Well, there is news out from Overstock today, which trades on the NASDAQ OSTK. They have a subsidiary, T0, and had announced today that it will launch an alternative trading system with joint venture partners Rengen and Argon Group. The company says the trading system will transform the trading of ICO, that's initial coin offerings, security tokens in compliance with SEC and FINRA regulations. Overstock notes that the emerging asset class of blockchain-based digital tokens has raised more than $2 billion so far this year, with ICO blockchain offerings surpassing traditional early-stage venture capital funding and U.S. regulators seeking legitimate venues to support security token offerings. With this joint venture, T0 continues to maintain its leading edge in blockchain financial technology. That statement comes directly from Overstock CEO Patrick Byrne, and Overstock was up about 2% pre-market, trading at $23.90. I'm not sure. Let's take a look and see if it's
up a lot. It's up a lot.
28.20 now. It's been to 28.40.
So
right now, up 20%.
Yeah, this is quite an impressive chart here. This is 1 day, and let's look at the 5-day. Yep, boy, it all happened today, off the back of that press release, I guess.
Well, it's been happening. You know, that stock was at 16, 17.
Uh-huh.
It was down lower to 14. That's not very long ago. I mean, I'm not talking about a few weeks, but within the last year. And had been under at 17 or under for quite a long time. But it has made previous runs to 30 and past. And, of course, before it began really being hit by the market in the attack on the company against Patrick Byrne because of his very public commenting on the fraudulent trading practices in the market, that stock was substantially higher than it is now. It was 30s, 40s, and maybe upwards of 50 some time ago, some years back. Talk about more than 10 years, and since that time, every time it sticks its head up, it gets cracked again. Even though, I think in many respects, its management certainly used to impress me with how capable they were and the performance they were able to bring to the bottom line. But Amazon, of course, just always been treated as the absolute darling of the money investors of Wall Street, while Overstock has been treated like his stepchild. So maybe this time it'll be different.
Well, ever since he took Overstock public via Dutch auction and didn't allow the traditional circle of greed to fill their pockets first, he has been an outcast, and the naked short selling was just so obvious in that stock in the early days after the company went public. There were days when the company there was more volume traded in Overstock stock on any one given day than existed in the entire float. I mean, the entire float would flip over in one day. That doesn't happen when there's legitimate trading going on.
Right. And one of the things that he's had in mind from the beginning, I feel sure, is this blockchain technology. Their objective is to put all stock trading on the blockchain, and in that circumstance, they have the technology already to make every trade happen instantaneously with the exchange of money at the same time as the shares are delivered. You don't have the 3-day wait for the money or the 3-day wait for the shares. Actually, they don't wait 3 days for the money. They get it instantaneously. But the shares, you have to wait for 3 days, and that's where all of the fraudulent no shares really delivered action begins, because they have this pooling effect of, well, somebody has the shares and we'll get them to you approach to things, and they just often do not get delivered. That was certainly a great portion of the 2008 problem. And you were talking about Chase and Jamie Dimon and the silver prices and so forth. You probably recall that Bear Stearns was the player in silver investments and had a very large. It was long silver, not short. And Bear Stearns, I think, for that purpose for that reason, was killed in March of 2008, and delivered over to Jamie Dimon and J.P. Morgan Chase. And in that circumstance, Chase became a bigger player. They had been, I think, on the short side, and so they've been able to better control the silver price since then. Well, there we are. I can let you and John get back to your discussions now if you like.
Well, if there's anything else that you want to share, let me show folks how to get over to your site. I normally do that as soon as you come on. Guys, it's pretty simple. You go to classicalcapital.com, and once you arrive, you can read a lot of essays that have been written by Wayne. And if you scroll down just a little bit further, you'll find a copy of his book, The Fruits of Graft. over 500 pages, over 5 years of his life have gone into this book. You can pick it up here. You can pick it up on Amazon. And, Wayne, we look forward to talking to you next week.
All right. Thanks very much, Dwayne.
Have a great day. Bye-bye.
All the best. Bye. So, just starting to break out now, Dwayne, to the NASDAQ. Looks like we're going to go up and challenge the day's highs. Are you there?
Yeah, right here.
Oh, sorry. And all the indices. I think the mid cap is starting to go to a new all-time high here as well, which is very bullish.
Let me take a look at that NASDAQ chart. Okay.
Yeah, we're just shy of an all-time high right now on the mid-cap futures, and we're already at new all-time highs on the Russell.
New all-time highs on the Russell?
Yeah.
Okay, the NQ. We were looking via last night's email to be long 5903, which is right about here. $59.03, and we put in a high today up at 36.75. Now, you say that 36.75 is just shy of an all-time high
On the
NQ?
No. The Nasdaq's a ways off the highs yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the mid cap is.
Oh, the mid cap.
Just
okay.
Yeah, and the TNA is actually at an all-time high too.
And the Russell. Oh, Russell took off like a rocket. 1460. Do you think, what time did this thing start moving up? At 10:30, we sold off pretty good during that half hour, and then now we've moved up. We're 1483. You say that's an all-time high in the Russell?
It is, yeah.
It is? Okay. So last night the email said to consider buying 1460, which is here. So it's down here. 1460.
Yeah, the financials are also closing in on all-time highs. The FAS, which is the financial triple, is at an all-time high also.
What do you think's bringing this on?
I think it's the tax. You know, the tax. They've been waffling around on the tax thing. I would have preferred to keep the 10% on the low end, but 12% isn't that bad. You know, as Wayne said, the deductions may make it better. But I mean, I'm disappointed it's not 15%, but 20% corporate is a pretty good deal. So I think even as it is right now, it's a no-brainer. But if they revise it and improve it, and they get it down to 15, then you know, that could be worth a lot more upside in the market. But the fact that this tax cut is starting to become a reality is, you know, up until now it's been kind of fantasy expectations. Now it's really starting to get there. Just remember the last time they did when they finally you know, approved the last tax cut and it became legislation, the market doubled from that point higher almost. So yeah, that's why I'm bullish on this market. And you cannot underestimate what this tax cut is going to do it's hard for most people to comprehend. And you know, we could have I mean, look at the transports. Transports are on just a unbelievable upward run here, just like the Dow had a couple of times earlier on this year. You know, we had a 600-point run in the Dow in a matter of days, and we may get another one, and that could put us at 23,000. I think if we get to 23,000, we're going to 24. I mean, the chances of going to 24,000 are pretty high right now. In the fairly near term, you know, in the next 6 months to a year, maybe even before the end of the year. This thing could really, I mean, this is around about the same time the tax cut got approved in '86, in '86, and you know, from that point forward, the market just went you know, absolutely parabolic on the upside. And look at Google. I mean, Google, which has been, you know, Google was actually the first of the FANGs to get hammered, if you remember. And it's probably recovering better than it's doing better than Amazon today. Amazon hasn't really picked up yet. And Netflix been getting hammered in the last week or two. And Facebook as well is starting to pick back up, but I think the FANGs have probably bottomed here now, and the fact that they're going to come back into, you know, the fray, and if the FANGs report better than, I mean, if Google comes in with better than expected earnings, you know, it's going to go to new highs, and that'll probably take all the FANGs to new highs before, and if the FANGs go to new highs, we're not just going to stop at new highs. We're going to go much higher.
Yeah, I saw a headline.
Do you know these FANGs are worth $2 trillion in market cap since 2009? It's just astonishing. Yeah,
I didn't know that.
It's bigger than most countries. You know, it's amazing.
It is. It truly is amazing.
Yeah.
Huh.
You know, it's been the big innovation of this bull market. You know, if we get some sort of a downturn, you know, maybe in the early 20s, and then the next upturn, what kind of innovations are we going to see in the next upturn? Is going to be, you know, amazing. To you know, we can't even contemplate what that's going to be. Incidentally, the automated driving's becoming more of a reality. Cadillac has got some sort of a test right now where they've got a cruise control, sort of self-driving cruise control. They're testing out driving across the country. So it might be sort of an incremental thing, not necessarily going all the way to total, you know, go to sleep drive, but you know, semi-autonomous driving is probably on the way.
Would you have any hesitations at this point to get into a car without a driver?
Yeah, I mean, just in the future, it might seem, you know, the other way. You know, there'll come a time when people say, "I wonder why people ever drove cars," you know. But for the time being, it's you know, I guess, you know, you could do it. They've proved that they're pretty much, you know, drivable, you know, self-drivable. So, you know, I mean, I'd give it a shot. I wouldn't. I might sit in the back seat or something.
Yeah, I would have my reservations, but I assume we'll all, you know, if it becomes commonplace, then I guess everybody will be doing it.
Yeah.
Anything else you want to cover today?
No, I think we've covered it pretty much. Some of the farmers are starting to look like they are bottoming out here. Clovis, which we liked a lot before, if you remember, seems to be recovered. We're really accelerating now on this Nasdaq, really starting to power higher. This is very good news. So, I think all that happened this morning was we ran up to 59.35 or so, came back down and did a test of where we took off from earlier this morning, and to give people a chance to get in. And now we're going up for real. So as long as we maintain this uptrend, I think we're in pretty good shape.
This thing came back, and 59.03 was our buy number on the NASDAQ, and it ran up once, and then it dipped below it, and then it put in its high of the day. Then it came back and touched 59.03 to the tick, and then turned around, and it's on this run now to take out the high that was put in during the first 30 minutes of the Wall Street Open today.
Yeah. This is. I mean, look. I actually said. I think I said yesterday or the day before, we might rally into the end of the month, and that looks like we've only got a couple of days now, and I think we could have a pretty strong finish. If we finish this month right on the highs, I think it's going to be very bullish. And remember, September is normally a pretty bad month. I mean, it has been somewhat of a down month, notwithstanding, but to have a sort of a late month dip and then rebound right into the close of the month is very bullish, and to morph into October in a kind of an opposite of what happened last year, I think is really, really bullish. And kind of, as long as especially if the earnings come out. But look, remember, we're in a 3% growth economy now. It's hard for companies to do badly in a 3% growth economy. Remember that. So there are more than likely going to be upside surprises in the earnings, in the upcoming earnings. So I would say that the odds of a whole year of up quarters is definitely a real possibility for us this year. And if we finish the year as strong as it looks as if we're going to, where are we going next year? It's pretty unusual for there's usually at least, look, if we go up 20% this year, you could go up another 10% next year easily. That gets you to 24,000. And by the way, the lumber, which I was talking about a few times to keep an eye on, it's not gone limit up yet, but it's had a pretty big update today. So the enormity of all the destruction in Puerto Rico and the islands and Florida and Texas is probably putting a lot of upward price pressure on lumber that may still be brought to bear. So I'd say if we start getting over 400 on the lumber, we just might have some limit up days.
Interesting.
Okie doke. Well, listen, thanks for the invite, Dwayne.
Hey,
and
thank you so much. And we'll talk
all
with
the
you
best
later today. Okay.
Okay, bye.
All right, guys. We're going to wrap it right there with the markets climbing, the NASDAQ moving higher, S&P moving higher. And we'll be back to do it all again tomorrow. See if anything else I need to cover. I think we got it all. Let me just say thank you so much for tuning in. Whoever you are, wherever you are, may God continue to richly bless you with His mercy and with His grace. And I'll see you at the bell.
Remember this, there is no greater return on investment than to see a human life changed and given hope. As always, pray hard and trade safe. Any financial information discussed on this show is simply the opinion of our host, Dwayne Reeves, his co-hosts, and guests. To learn more about trading Emini Futures or to take a 1-week free trial in our live trading room, call 1-866-928-3310. 866-928-3310. Information discussed on this radio program should not be construed as a recommendation to buy or sell any security. Always do your own due diligence and consult with a licensed securities broker or financial planner before making any investment decision.